Hi, I'm Dr. David Dobson. Welcome to Conversations. Today, my guests are Japreet Josan and Liam Schultz. They are fourth year marketing students at the University of the Fraser Valley. We will be discussing their group research project, which explores how sales managers can speak the language of Generation Z or Gen Zs. They won UFV Sales Academy's Sales Management Research Award for this project. Welcome to the show, Japreet and Liam.
Thanks for
Hi,
having us. Hey,
thank you.
Before we discuss your research project, please share who Generation Z is, also known as Gen Z.
Of course. Well, Gen Z refers to the group of people born roughly between 1997 to 2012. This means that the oldest of us are in our late 20s, about 28, 27-year-olds, and we're starting to settle down in life and may even hold some leadership roles in the workplace, while the youngest of us, about 12 to 13 years old, are still in school. When compared with other generations, this generation is unique because they've grown up with the internet, the smartphone, and social media from a very young age. So we can say that the Gen Zs are true digital natives, implying that technology is a huge part of their lives and that they've known a world barely without it. Unlike older generations who have had to adapt to digital tools, Gen Zs have them into their daily lives from a very young age, and this has shaped not only how they communicate, but also how they work, learn, and even make decisions.
we've grown up not only with instant information, but also instant communication. So that definitely plays a big role in how we like to communicate. Japreet and I are both Gen Z, just to preface this. Um, so yeah, we're very value driven and also quite independent. So we do have our own like individual values, but we also have a lot of group values. So we'll talk more about the values later. But yeah, now we're kind of entering the workforce. Basically, all university students are Gen Z. And yeah,
Yeah. So, what does Gen Z value?
Well, one of the most important things that Gen Z values is authenticity. Um, we Gen Zers want real, honest interactions, whether it's with our peers, managers, or even the brands that we buy from. And trust me when I say this, but Gen Zs will know when you're trying to fake or force something. They're not interested in fake or overly polished messages, so make sure in a workplace setting that all managers keep aside the business jargon or, you know, stop trying to overly professionalize things because it's only going to make you sound fake. But yeah, just to get back to Gen Zs and what they prefer things to be straightforward and transparent. So Gen Zs are also very pragmatic. This means that they want to know whether a job makes sense for them, their future, or if a job will help them grow as individuals. And if things aren't in line with them and their personal values, they will most likely not be in for it, you know. They're also very ambitious and also very grounded. So this keeps them true to who they are and what they value. And they also really value flexibility and work-life balance, which is also why they would prefer working in environments that understand this. And they also tend to stay away from work environments that expect them to, work around the clock unless they're paid to do so.
Fair enough.
yeah. And also, we like to express ourselves. Self-expression is like a big value for us. So we're kind of drawn to environments where we're able to express ourselves, where we're able to use our gifts and abilities and skills. So if we're able to put in positions and roles where we're able to do that, that's kind of the best thing for us. Um, So yeah, very technology fluent. We care about the environment, sustainability. Those are kind of become like standard things and things that are mandatory, not just like kind of good add-ons. It's like we need those. Yeah, transparency. In our study, we found that clarity and directness was the number one value. Um, but yeah, we still want to remain professional, though it might not always seem like that. But we do like a little bit of like order, but we still want to, be ourselves, be able to express ourselves.
Your project looked into how sales manager can speak the language of Gen Z. Tell me why you wanted to study this topic.
Okay, so aside from it have like we had to do this as a part of one of our classes, aside from
Mm,
that, we got the chance to choose any topic that kind of resonates with us or any topic that we're personally invested or interested in. So we chose this topic because like Liam mentioned before, we're Gen Zers ourselves, and going into the workforce or currently in the workforce too, we've experienced firsthand how communication can somehow, be misaligned between different generations. So between us and our managers or even other customers, and how this communication gap can,
mm,
hinder our goals or the end objective.
mm,
And personally, we found that traditional communication methods like lengthy emails, formal
mm,
meetings, or, you know, um, those unnecessary weekly meetings that do no justice for everyone, they don't really resonate or align with our personal values as, um, you know,
yeah,
Gen Zers in the workforce.
yeah,
So, because we're a generation that values quick, clear, and authentic communication,
mm,
we saw that there is a communication gap that can create frustrations and communications, not only for us, but for our managers as well. So,
mm,
this project was just a way for us to kind of explore how sales managers can
mm,
adapt their communication styles to better
mm,
connect with Gen Z employees, because making sure that Gen Z workers, because we are the rising masses in the workforce, making sure that Gen Zs feel understood, respected, and supported in the workplace is a
mm.
very important thing, not only for, the managers, but also just companies as a whole.
Yeah, and I think another reason why we chose to do this is because, I mean, we had to do the project, but basically everyone doing the project was in Gen Z. So we were kind of like, what if we could do a project on everyone else doing the project? And we thought that'd be like a little funny, but also like insightful. So we knew there was the research exhibition at the end of like the semester when our project was finished.
Mm,
And it was just mainly going to be sales managers there and they're going to be
mm,
judging us. So it's like,
mm,
okay, how can we appeal to sales managers? And then we were kind of like, communication is key. So like, why not do a study on like Gen Z communication styles? We can make it a little bit funny. Like
yeah,
sometimes like
yeah,
there's some people saying words. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So
Exactly.
we had to do like a little like skit at the start of it, like an elevator
yeah,
pitch.
yeah,
And it's like we had some fun with it too.
We had a
So
yeah,
lot of fun doing
yeah,
this.
it was a fun project, but
yeah,
we want it to be relevant
yeah,
to basically everyone.
yeah. I saw your poster and I was amazed. Your poster doesn't have too many words. It's brief and up to the point.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I'll say it, that was more so Japreet. So give her most of the credit for that.
Hey, no, no, I only had the creative aspect to it, but like the words that did go
Oh,
onto it, they were very thought through, and we
yeah,
both did that as a team.
yeah. Great teamwork and a good thinking as to research on the Gen Zs. That's good. I want to ask you, why is this an important topic for sales managers to understand the language of Gen Zs?
Okay, well, I think there's like two main things. First, the economic reasons. So basically, now that like Gen Z is entering the workforce and has jobs, they have money. Maybe not a lot of it yet, but yeah, so they have like money to spend. So
Yeah.
basically, from a sales manager's perspective, like how can we appeal to the consumer? Um, because they're not just using, mom's and dad's credit card
Mm,
anymore.
mm,
So now that they have their own decisions to make, and it's like things they can choose, maybe a bit of expendable income. Um, yeah. So how can we how can sales managers speak to the consumer? Was one of the main things.
From a sales perspective and, you know, a workplace perspective, we have to realize that communication is everything. So if a manager doesn't understand how to motivate, train, or even listen to their Gen Z employee, the whole team's performance
mm,
could suffer. And it's
mm,
important that sales managers do understand that Gen
mm,
Z employees often have
mm,
different expectations and ways
mm,
of working compared to their older
mm,
employees or the older generations in the workforce.
mm,
So, for example, our research found that Gen Zs prefer quick, direct communication and regular feedback. So this may be something that doesn't really, align with how the older generation tends to work, but it's something that we prefer and something that we're really good at and can, you know, leverage as one of our strengths in the workplace. So if managers fail to communicate in a way that Gen Zs understand and appreciate, it could result in missed opportunities for both parties. And yeah, just making sure that communication is aligned and all the company's, the individual's goals are achieved is
Mm.
key.
Can you briefly share the research methodology you use for your project?
Yeah, so we did some primary research and then secondary research. So for our primary research, we sent out a survey. We allowed, I think, a max of 7 questions. So we
Mhm.
made the most of that. And we had 55 respondents.
Mhm.
We sent it out to some other classes. So
Mhm.
basically, everyone doing it was Gen Z, mostly from like 19 to 22,
Yeah.
because they're all university students.
Mhm.
So yeah, we just kind of asked a lot of like what they value, communication channels that they prefer, how they feel about communicating like within the workplace with their boss, those types of things.
For secondary research, so as you've taught us, David, secondary research we conduct through the UFE library and also just credited sources and academic journals. So that's what we did.
Mhm.
So we had ooh, a list of at least 10 to 15 other secondary sources that we,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, went through and basically our primary research, due to time constraints and just limitations in who we can approach in
Mhm.
our, you know, professional
Mhm.
side, it was very limited to only 55 respondents. But our secondary research was basically something that added on to our primary research and backed
Mhm.
up our findings very closely, actually. So whatever we found in our
Mhm.
primary research in our survey
Mhm.
was backed up very, you know, in a very neat way from our secondary research that kind of aligned with our results and everything that
Mhm.
like yes, this is true and that this, for example, this other study on 8,000 people or 2,000 people showed that Gen Zs do prefer this over this. So it was a great way to, you know, combine both primary, secondary elements and kind of have a neat research going and a fun and relevant research going.
Yeah, wonderful. Based on your research, what are your recommendations for sales managers?
Okay, for sales managers, some recommendations. I think first with communication, keep it clear, direct,
Mm.
and professional.
Mhm.
Still the workplace, but kind of get to the point, skip all the buzzwords, all
Mm.
the corporate jargon, because it's
Mm.
like what does that even mean? Just like tell it to me straight. Tell it to me straight. And then yeah, use technology. Encourage instant messaging. Yeah, for quick updates, but still in-person meetings are like the king of like that's kind of what we prefer most within
Mm.
communication. It's
Mm.
not always possible, so I
Mm.
think it's going to be like a hybrid model of in-person, and then yeah, also technology. And then one of the biggest findings for us was with feedback.
Mm.
We found that we need feedback,
Mm.
and we want it regularly. So this
Mm.
could be like for or for technology, this could be like just check-ins. Hey, message, how's it going? How's this project going?
Mm.
Something like that. But one-on-one, in-person feedback, even coaching
Mm.
or something like that, I think would be very, very beneficial.
We appreciate being told what we're doing right and wrong. We want to know
Yeah.
both ways, but
Okay.
we also would prefer giving feedback. So if we feel like that
Mm.
something could be done differently or there could be
Mm.
another way around something,
Mm.
would appreciate it if, you
Mm.
know, you could take our
Mm.
advice or even if you don't
Mm.
want to implement it, at least
Yeah.
listen to us. So
Mm.
feedback goes both ways.
Mm. That's a wonderful advice. So it's not just a one way, but it's like a communication both way, receiving and giving. Based on your research, what advice would you give to your fellow Gen Zers who are looking to work in sales?
Yeah, so my advice, very direct and simple for fellow Gen Zers would be to not be afraid to speak up and ask for the feedback that you need. So
Mm.
we Gen Zs, we have to acknowledge and realize that we do
Mm.
value real-time feedback, and if you're
Mm.
not getting enough guidance or coaching, be
Mm.
proactive about it and
Mm.
ask for it.
Mm.
So don't hesitate to share your thoughts and ideas to your team or your managers. And we do have slight imposter syndrome where we feel like we don't belong here or we don't
Mm,
know what we're doing, but you know, it can just turn out that your ideas may be the next best thing. So, um, just understand that your perspective is valuable
mm,
and we should speak up and everyone would like to hear our voice.
mm,
And also, short and simple, lean into your tech skills. Not
mm,
everyone else in the workforce may be as tech savvy as you, so leverage it to your
mm,
strength.
I think, yeah, one other thing is just like step outside your comfort zone. I think that's with
mm,
anything.
mm,
But try new things, learn new things, even if it goes terribly wrong.
mm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, we as Gen Z do have new insights, and
Mm,
there's a lot of opportunities with that.
mm,
So I think that we need to use like our skills, and knowledge of what we've grown up in, and use that to our advantage, within sales, because just on the other end of purchasing or whatever it is, there's probably going to be people around our age entering that as well.
know most of us have a Gen Zs in our class. I want to ask you because you did this project, I think it's a group project. So when professors assign project, what type of expectations do you have?
Um, I would say try being as detailed as possible because
Mm,
we've had different types of professors. Some
mm,
are very detailed and to the
mm,
point of what exactly they expect and how
mm,
much a certain section of a project is worth, which
mm,
is amazing because you don't know what type of group you end up in. If it's a good
mm.
group, it's all well and good, but if sometimes you end up in group projects that you don't really want to be in.
Yeah.
So just knowing how much each thing weighs and how much you should focus or weight each item and do
Mm,
it
mm,
is something we value, but
mm,
also just being as detailed as possible because I've had a few professors that have like their entire project guidelines in a paragraph and it's like I don't know what to do with this.
mm,
Mm.
Like if you keep asking questions, the professor too starts getting annoyed and like, oh, I
mm.
told you this. Like, no, it's not given to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, details about like the assignment is a huge thing. Maybe write more than you think you should,
Mm,
because there's a million different questions that could arise from it. From,
mm,
yeah, like just one
mm,
paragraph, it's like
mm.
this could go anywhere. So we do like a bit of guidance with it. But I think a huge thing is deadlines. Like make deadlines clear,
Mm.
because then we know when we should start working on it. Um,
And truth is, most of us work just before the deadline
yeah,
comes
so
in.
especially with group projects, you know, it can take some time and some coordination. So
Yeah,
right off the bat, make it clear.
yeah, yeah. And what about expectation working with group members?
I think that what groups have already started doing is just like either joining a WhatsApp group or something like that, and just like messaging each other of like what's going on, where we're at in the project, what who needs to do what, and then yeah, doing yeah FaceTime or a Zoom call or something like that. Maybe once a week or something like that. And then also a lot of groups will use like Google Docs or something that's like a shared document.
Mm,
Sometimes each section will have its own tab or something, or it's like, hey, Japreet gets this tab, I'm working on this tab, and it's like you can actually see who's done what.
mm.
And then you can see, oh, this person hasn't done anything, so got to do something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to add on to that, do all that, but also as someone working in a group project, it's your responsibility to kind of be active in
Mm,
replying to your group
mm,
members.
mm,
If they
mm,
ask you something and
mm.
they tag you in a message, it's like, have you done this? Or what do you think about this? Don't reply 5 hours later. It's only, quick and clear communication. It's only going to take you a minute. Just reply
Yeah,
to that message. And
yeah,
so everyone can, you know, get
yeah,
on with whatever
yeah.
work they're doing.
Yeah. So when a student talked to me, biggest thing they said is some of the fellow group members not necessarily meeting the deadline because they try to set up the deadline. Group members say, "Hey, we want to finish it by a certain date," and then the deadline comes in, and they realize that some of the group members still haven't got back to the message or haven't done their part, and they find it quite frustrating that work is kind of incomplete and the deadline is fast approaching.
Yeah, that's definitely happened with groups for me.
It happens a lot. I think, you know, as a group, if you discuss that, like, oh, we should be fine, and then,
Mm,
we're almost there, so it's fine if you don't have this tiny section done by this deadline, that's
mm,
fine. But it's like if it weighs heavily and you
mm,
haven't started at all, that's an
mm,
issue. Also, talking about internal group deadlines and how
mm,
they matter and, you know, how teams work. Um,
mm,
just going back to your original question of what you expect
mm,
professors, we also appreciate it when professors are open to our feedback and are
mm,
open to peer evaluations
mm,
throughout the course. I know this is something that you do, David,
mm,
but being able to give our group members regular, constant feedback throughout the course instead of just at the end is
mm,
Mhm.
something that kind of works in our favor because if we have,
mm,
um,
mhm,
someone who's not pulling their weight in a group, we
mm.
can get rid of them early on and make sure that they pull their own weight in their own separate group and that they're not pulling us down. So
Yeah,
that's something we do value.
yeah. What is next for you both?
So, okay. So next, well, for me, this was my last semester of university. So in the summer, I'll be graduating. I currently work in a sales and service industry. So I plan on working there for maybe
Mm,
another few years. But al alongside, I'm planning to kind of go to law school. So
mm,
I'm kind of preparing for that on the side. I'm planning to give my LSAT this summer, so that should be fun. Kind of dreading it, but I've been putting in the work to, kind of prepare for it. So excited for that. Yeah, I don't have anything too detailed, but that's like a brief overview of
mm.
what's next for me.
Yeah, it's a good plan.
Yeah, for this summer, I'm taking two summer classes, and then I'm working full time. I work in sales at Fastenal, which is like an industrial supplier.
Mhm.
So I just got a recent promotion this past
Oh,
week.
congratulations.
So I thank you. I have a couple like big accounts that I'm dealing with.
Mm,
So there's a lot going on there. And then yeah, come September, I'll do full time school and then work part time. And then December, I'll graduate, be finished, and then probably continue with my current job. So yeah,
wow, wonderful. Thank you for sharing your research with us today. I wish you both the best in completing your university degrees and future plans.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much for having us on here. We really love what you do with your YouTube channel and your conversations. They're very interesting to listen to and the diversity of people you have on your channel, it's amazing. So thank you for having us on your channel as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, David.
Thank you.